With Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives, influencers share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Come join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Power Moves.
On In Touch Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
Yeah. What it do? This is Power Move, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. I'm in the place to be with my man Kevin Carr, Mr. Career. Crossover. What it do, Kev?
Hey, man, I'm great. Can't complain. My man, 50 Grant, all the way from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's in the house, no doubt. This is what we do, baby. This is what we do. Man, what's going on in the world of sports, man?
Man, what isn't going on? When you think about what's about to happen in the world of baseball playoffs about to happen, I mean, look, do you think who you think's gonna? Is anybody in New York? Is anybody in New York? Is anybody?
Yankees, baby.
York. I knew you would say that for some reason. I just wanted to stroke the fire.
I mean, considering, I live in Tampa Bay, and all they talk about is Champa Bay this, Champa Bay that. But I'm from the NY. You see Central Park behind me. I represent for the NY. That's what I do. Even my 1-3 Giants. You know what I'm saying? I gotta represent. That's who I am. That's what I do.
No, we appreciate it. Baseball fans out there. The Bay is what's happening. Property values due to the sport rise is happening. So I'm very thankful as a homeowner. So keep winning.
That's right.
It's helping us all the way to the bank, those who live here. But on a real note, obviously, we're seeing some really interesting times with COVID and sports. We're seeing, all the teams having protocols. And I think, overall, I think they're managing interestingly, pretty well. I mean, when you think about the ramifications of where we were last year, there were very few events. And now we're seeing, obviously, the risk. People are a little more risk averse. They're not as holding back. And, we're seeing some opportunities in the business of sport come back a little bit. So that's been probably my most, if you had to pull back and say, compared to where we were last year to this year, you look at the arenas, you look at the stadiums, you look at the parks, you look at entertainment, all of it is incrementally getting back. So I would say what's happening is that sports are back. And
absolutely. And let's give a big, speaking of Champa Bay and what's going on, let's give a big shout out to Mr. Eric Dungy in making sure that his company Compass Real Estate Eric Dungy was one of our guests here on Power Moves.
Yep.
They are the official realtors for the Champa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, Compass. Compass is a big deal in the world of sports and entertainment. They are pretty much one of the preferred go-tos, and obviously his partner Ben Moss. We give a shout out to Ben too.
Big old Ben. That's right.
Yep. Yeah, it's a duo, and we're very proud of Eric having made the transition from sports into the world of real estate. And, I actually saw him around town recently. So he's doing his thing. Congratulations, Eric, and to Compass. So we
absolutely
want to that.
Well, in the world of music is always percolating. I mean, we have Supercat, the old school dance hall, what we used to call Coolie Man.
You took it back. The youngsters might not know, but yes, we know.
Supercat Dundada. You got to check him out. He's on Triller. He's going to be performing exclusively on Triller at the Barclays Center October 16th, I believe. Yes. October 16th. So that's going to be exciting. But then Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One are battling. Woo! That's going to be the verses of verses. They've been talking about that. Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One been talking about battling each other since the 80s. So this is big news, as Fat Joe would say. We got the Hip Hop Awards going on right now as we speak on BET. Okay. And guess who's doing the lighting for it? My man, Andre Allen from Blacklight Productions up in Atlanta. He's doing his thing, doing the lighting with Jesse Collins. So that's big news for him, which is awesome. Yeah. And speaking of Jesse Collins, the Super Bowl halftime show in LA. How fitting is that? Dr. Dre is doing the halftime. That's why he's not doing no verses. Because he's doing a halftime show. He got no time to be doing no verses.
It's Eminem as well.
It's Eminem, Mary, Snoop, and Kendrick Lamar. But don't be surprised. There'll be probably some other special guests coming through on that.
In the NFL, it'll be diversity going on. So we'll see an integration of all different types.
It's going to be bananas. It's going to be bananas. And so, and another big shout out. I just talked to his manager earlier today. AZ is number 2 when it comes down to the hip hop records that is out right now, beating Donda and beating Certified Lover Boy, CLB. That's right. Certified Lover Boy. Mr. Drizzy. Drizzy. So, big shout out to AZ representing Brooklyn to the finest. I got to show that Brooklyn love. But we got a Harlem cat in the house right now. Harlem is in the building. So, when I think Harlem, and especially when I think of this gentleman right here, it's all about the swag and the confidence. And at the same time, this guy always brings to the table the spiritual synergy. When you talk to him, you could feel the presence of God working through this man. He is the president of Creative Music Management and Launchpad Entertainment. Over 20 plus years. I think we might have to add a decade to that, but I'm going to leave it at that. But that's what is under this bio. But he was born in Harlem, New York. His pops was an NBA player with the New York Knicks, baby. He spent his preteen and teenage years surrounded and influenced by the hip hop movement, which birthed in his community what we refer to as the legends of hip hop and R&B. But in addition to that, besides that, he's also been a mainstay at the Rucker tournament, which right now the Rucker tournament is being redesigned with the help of the NBA, which I'm loving that. Check this out. This is a brother that went to UCF. Wow. Double majored in management and political science, had a full ride playing ball. After he was done, he did the international thing like Walter Berry and everybody else, made his money, came back and came into the music industry as a manager of a group called Ziggy, working with Van Gibbs, well-renowned producer, worked with Calypso, reggae, and R&B. And his son, who's a super producer who helped discover the Fugees, worked with him when he was at Columbia Records, received 2 Billboard Top 10 rap singles due to this gentleman's guidance. He's had multi-platinum artists that he's worked with, producers, also worked with Mr. Brian McKnight, baby. Worked with his management team, which is the gentleman Herb Trawick of Trawick Company, big time in the R&B world. And of course, he's worked with everybody from Mark Nelson of As Yet, Christopher Williams, Tank, super producer LT Hutton, who's worked with Dre and everybody else. Armando Colon worked with Busta and some of the other hip hop artists. Had his own label deal with Quincy Jones and Quest Records. Also had a partnership with Def Jam and Shaquille O'Neal's group company Twism when Shaq was doing the record label thing. Shaq was doing everything. He's still doing everything. And now, basically this man is just connecting the dots, making things happen, running his family business. And we're going to touch base with Mr. Fred Crawford Jr., because Fred Crawford was a Knicks player. So we got to throw the junior up in here. And also just want to let you know, this gentleman right here is always about serving the community. So he's worked with Magic Johnson Foundation, American Diabetes Association, Susan Komen Foundation, which this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we want to touch on that. The Police Athletic League, New York City Board of Education, and so many others. Let's welcome to the show. A big shout out to my man, Big Fred Crawford Jr. What it do and what you doing with a White Sox hat on?
No. Hold on. First of all, we could just end the call now because I didn't even know all that stuff about me. I'm like, you just made me like I'm important or something. Damn, who this dude he talking about? And I know you're a spiritual, you're a Christian as well. As you know, again, I don't beat people over the head with the Bible, but Christ is the center of my life. But ain't but one God, no matter what you want to call him. However, my man, what hat do I have on?
Oh, you know what? From a distance, it looked like a socks. I was like, "What are you doing with it?"
Put your little reading glasses on, homie.
I got my Fred. Welcome to the show, man. How are you doing, and how are you managing in this new normal of the pandemic?
Like my grandmother. First of all, thank you, and I'm doing well, and I'm very pleased to be part of your show. I didn't know about it until Joel hit me to it, and I did a little research, and I want to definitely spread the word and get more people participating just from a consumer standpoint, because it's a very well-heeled show, and I applaud you guys for doing what you do. That's first and foremost. And secondarily, man, how am I doing? What? Are you kidding me? So like grandma used to say, you know, she died when I'm not going to make this big. She died November 30th, 1979. I was 12 years old. And I remember every morning I'd wake up, cancer was ravaging her body, but she was just always positive. I'd be like, Grandma, how you doing today? She'd say, baby, I just thank God that it is as good as it is. And that's how I'm dealing with the pandemic.
That's very,
that's what's up. That's what's up. And that's so real. That's so real. What's interesting with your career that I just expressed. I mean, you went from the music industry to sports to marketing to branding to just being a deal maker. In terms of the type of money being generated, especially now in publishing, what it was before to what it is now, how can people make money now? I'm going to tap into your expertise because, Power Moves is all about teaching the next generation on what's going on, because publishing is definitely some good money. But however, now with streaming, in your opinion, what's that like? And how can people make money now?
Well, again, and thank you for saluting the original OG, my father, who's 81 years old, still living, still got the spot in Harlem, still got his house in Jersey. So thank God he's still here. But in addition to starting the Rucker Pro League in 1965, he created it along with my godfather, Bob McCullough. They also started a program called the National Association of Each One Teach One. And that's still in existence to this day. And, we don't stop people from using the catchphrase because we want to bless people, but they trademarked it, they own it. It's each one teach one. So you asking me about the publishing thing and the business, I'm privileged to be able to share whatever tidbit of knowledge that I have for your listeners, or viewers. It's really an interesting dynamic. The music industry, publishing as well, is in a real funky space over the last 5 years and continuing now, into this next era of independent artists. And publishing is always going to be the one consistent. Like, record deals aren't like they used to be back when I would do a publishing deal for a 10-song deal for $100,000 a song, with J Records that I did for Damon Thomas before he became part of the Underdogs. I mean, those deals don't happen anymore. They just don't make sense. But from a publishing standpoint, making sure that, you're getting, if you're a writer, obviously that's the only time it makes any sense is if you're a writer on the work. But if you're a writer, making sure that all of your paperwork is done correctly, you're partnered with, even if it's just an admin situation, to make sure you're getting all of your revenue, even though it's pennies on pennies add up. You know what I mean? So you got to really stay on top of your game. There's a book by the legendary Kashif who recently died not too long ago. It's called Everything You Better Know About the Music Business. So I suggest everybody, all the artists I've ever managed and worked with, even Brian, I said, man, read that book. Because as a manager or a partner in general, you want your person that you're working with or working for to have the knowledge that you have. So that book is a Bible, and there's a newer edition out. Anybody could go on, Amazon or whatever, buy that book by Kashif. There's another one with a similar name by Donald Passman, who's a gentleman. Great book too, but it's very legalese. It's not talking directly to us. This book talks to us. So you definitely need to understand the different revenue streams. TV money is amazing. One of my producers, shout out to Derek Big Tank Thornton, who's now the #1 sought after music supervisor in all the urban everything, doing BMF, done all the shows that have been out. He's in New York right now working with Primo on some stuff. But Tank has figured out a way to monetize what he does beyond the regular. So,
all right, so hold that thought, Fred, because we got to pay some bills.
Do your thing.
So we're gonna come back in about 2 minutes. Once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you in 2.
Radio is smooth soul.
Rocking your radio on the sounds of soul.
Playing your favorite R&B. In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man. Call Ricky.
Hello?
Ask Ricky.
I was hitting you. So I don't gotta control me because I can go off on you went from being multi-platinum. I'll make it from catalog up, so I can share that. Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Because I read what you sent. Loose.
Call Ricky, ask Ricky, is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical
gotcha.
treatment.
I'm going to talk about that more.
All
right.
Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and during the week, I'm affectionately known as the Medicare Lady. Do not try to navigate Medicare without me. Please call me at 813-476-4837. I also do life insurance, and I will help people who are Medicare Medicaid. Once again, 813-476-4837. 4837.
We back. This is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We were talking about the last segment. We was talking a little bit about the money game and how things has changed in the music business in terms of publishing and other ways of revenue. And Fred had talked about certain books to get, especially the one from Kashif, who Kashif used to be a part of my mentor's company with which was Hush Entertainment. But continue on where you left off, Fred, because you were mentioning the importance of understanding as a partnership with your management team the revenue streams when it comes down to the music of the business of music.
Absolutely. So to encapsulate it, basically what I'm saying is, if you're a producer or writer, whatever you are, if you're creating content, creating music, TV money is amazing. So that's like the new hustle out here right now, because basically you still own your catalog, your music. They place it on the show, and it's mailbox money. It just keeps coming. And so my guy Derek Big Tank Thornton. Big shout out to Big Tank. He's killing the game right now. He's at the top of the game. He's the most sought after, arguably the most sought after black music supervisor in the game. But he started out as a producer. I gave him his first track ever that he sold when I was at Warner Brothers and Quest Records, and went on to become a vice president of MCA and Universal and just a lot of different things. But now he's figured out his niche. This publishing money, this TV money is crazy. So I would just suggest that you look at the landscape, figure out what it is you want to do, and just make sure all your paperwork is straight as far as your ownership, your percentages, and all that stuff, and go from there, because there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. And that's the newest way for us that we're getting into now. And a lot of guys, he owns the catalog. So he puts, calls producers that he knows, Mike City, Rodney Jerkins, Armando Colon, whoever, and they got tracks just sitting, or songs just sitting. They send them to him. If he places them in the TV show, they get placed and they get a check, and the check continues coming as long as that content exists. So just think about it as, okay, how do I get around the fact that streaming is so little money as compared to record sales and mechanicals versus whatever. So just stay on top of your game and read and study and do a deeper dive.
I'm happy you said that, because my boy Mariko Turner is so happy that he is part of what's it called? All the Queen's Men, which is the Tyler Perry show. He's going to be doing some music supervisor on that. So big shout out to Mariko Turner. But go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Fred, again, representing UCF, that's close to home to us. I'm actually an adjunct professor there in the College of Business and Sports Business Management. So shout out to UCF as alumni.
UCF stands for you can't finish, but you can fail.
Never heard that one. That's a good one. So, one of the things we mentioned your hat at the top of the show. In your career, you worn, I imagine, professionally, many hats. How in this day and age, how were you able to, and more than ever now, go from one thing to another and still, do it well? I mean, really understand how to make it work for you. Knowing that today's people are having to make moves out of necessity, but you seem to know where the timing is and how to make that happen. Can you talk a little bit and break that down, how you have done it and how you've been managed to not only get through it, but, really thrive?
Yeah, man, I'd have to sit back and really reflect on different periods of my life as to how it happened. But, again, I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody with, religiosity, so to speak. But, I pride myself on the fact that God is the center of my life. And, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all things shall be added unto you. Now, mind you, I ain't always lived by that, but I always knew the scripture. And I did, but I was young. I did my thing. I got 5 beautiful children and, circumstances, man, opportunities come. God provides things for you, and then it's up to you to capitalize on them. So I never really looked at anything I've done as different. When I got into the marketing with different brands and stuff, that was just part of my everyday whatever. It was just an offshoot of an opportunity. When I, started managing other people, and when I was managing Brian McKnight with Herb Trawick, as you mentioned earlier, and that was an amazing experience. Learned a lot. It was like a deep game teaching scenario. Herb was amazing and still is. And, I learned a lot, and I decided, okay, let me just branch off. Let me figure out some other things. I started managing a bunch of producers, understanding publishing and production deals. And you just learn, you teach, you learn, and you step out on faith and you do different situations. And I've always been a people person. So I feel like, if you're likable, you can always make money. You can always make situations happen. You have to know your business, but you can always make situations happen. So I don't know. I just tell everybody to always be honest. Never do to somebody what you would not want done to you, because trust me, it'll come back to you. And that's the key. There's 97% of the people, I say 95% of the people I've ever done business with all like me. And the 5% that don't like me respect me because we had an adversarial relationship in the moment. But I always kept my word and I always did what I was supposed to do.
You know, I love what you just said, because I think one of the key takeaways of what you said is you have to be a people person. People person in terms of not necessarily you have to love everybody, but a people person to be able to respect the human being in front of you, so that at the end of the day, they see you for who you are authentically, and that you genuinely are looking to serve. So that's the key aspect of making any type of transition, because the human being aspect is what's going to translate. It's not necessarily, the words that people say. It's the actions and the service that you provide. So with that being said, speaking of service, of course I know a little bit about you. So as a leader of your household, I mean, your whole entire family is doing businesses. Your wife got her business and she's killing it. Your kids do their things on the side. How did you lead from the front? And was it like having your wife and your kids being bosses?
Humility is the key to success in a marriage or any relationship. The ability to understand and appreciate and applaud others when it's not your turn is a key in business and life. So I'm very happy. The old adage, happy wife, happy life, is really true. My wife is, Jocelyn Crawford. That's my wife. Cairo's Custom Events. So she, long story short, came out here to LA from Philly. She went to Drexel with a degree. She got this, like, that's not what I want to do. She wanted to be creative. And I funded her initially, but now she's well out of the red and doing very well in her business. And I applaud her. My children, my oldest son is the youngest executive director in the history of the UC system, University of California system. He's the executive director of diversity and inclusion at UC Davis. Proud of him running his thing, the philanthropy side of what he, gets from my dad and all each one teach one stuff. My daughters are doing great. My daughter Naja is a yoga instructor. She was on full volleyball scholarship at UC Riverside and decided she didn't want to do that anymore. Now she has a business called Yoga Little in Grocella, which is a festival that she does for young children all over the country, helping them understand breathing and technology and spirituality and, understanding their bodies and stuff. And it's amazing. She's also not through me, because, I did Jordan Brand for a long time with their TV, with the entertainment stuff, but she did it on her own. Now she's the official yoga person for Jordan Brand. So I'm just proud of all my children, man. I applaud them all, especially when it takes them out of my pocket.
That's right. So we got about 3 minutes left. We can sneak another question in.
Yeah, let's talk about the power segment. In this segment, we really try to uplift people, and power is defined by the capability of making things happen from nothing to using your own resources. So what would you teach your younger self to do now to yield that kind of power that needs to exist in today's world?
Good question. It's such a different world, but ownership is key. Content, as you guys are content creators, is key. As small of a piece of the pie as you guys may hold in terms of the overall spectrum of podcasts and radio shows and stuff, you own it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the key to longevity. Ownership in this country, from land ownership, that's most of the money that's ever been made in this country is made off of owning property, owning land, not slaves, but owning land. That's why Black people as a whole don't really have as much power, because they've never had property historically. That's the way this country works. So ownership of your content, making sure that if you're doing a publishing deal, back to that you're doing a co-pub or an admin deal where your masters your music reverts back to you at a certain point in time, because that's your legacy. And again, on a final note in the Bible, it says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Don't give away the farm. Make sure you keep ownership as much as you can. Sometimes you have to leverage it to get some money or to get a situation, but make sure it reverts back to you. Own whatever. That's what I would have told myself back when I was just flipping deals and give me a check and, okay, yeah, this $1 million check is cool. And this thing, man, but I gave up the ownership on a couple of deals that I wish I wouldn't have. So I don't regret it because it helped me grow. But in hindsight, as you said, that's why I keep ownership. Create content and whatever concept that you have, and own it.
Yeah, ownership is everything. With that, so being that we got 60 seconds left, so we're not going to go into the next question, but I do want to tap into what in the world is going on that everybody's moved out to LA.
Okay, I can't speak to that. I didn't move out to LA to move out to LA. We still got the brownstone in Harlem. We still got my apartment 54th Street, and my license is still New Jersey. So I'm just out here.
Wait a minute, you still got your New Jersey license?
Never letting it go, homie. It is what it is. I'm never gonna claim LA. Like, I'm cool. I'm out here. I've been out here 20-something years, but I'm a New Yorker. I'm not doing it. Plus, it allows me to write off learn business. I'm able to write off all of my expenses in LA because technically I'm still a resident of New Jersey. So I don't vote in LA and I don't pay taxes in LA. My tax base is New Jersey, and my voting is New Jersey. But if you're operating in another state, you can write off all of your expenses there. So I learned that from OG Bert Padell, one of the legendary accountants back in the days. So yeah, man, it's I don't know. Everybody coming out here, they like, I'd rather have earthquake possibility than blizzard definite.
Well, listen, we got to pay some bills, but rest in peace to Bert Padell, because that was one OG accountant. And that's another good tip. Your best friend should be your CPA. Real talk, not a dog. Your best friend should be your CPA because they can help you navigate. So once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We here with.
Hold on one real quick. So I gotta say, I wore this shirt for you because to me, this is you, Captain Fly. So y'all young kids that don't understand, this dude right here is Captain Fly.
There you go. So we're going to see you after the break. Let's pay some bills. DJ Bezo.
We'll be back.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I've worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Keeping you informed, in tuned, and in touch. Your worldwide radio connection. In Touch Radio. In Touch Radio, where everybody, and we do mean everybody, is a star. In Touch Radio.
All right, we back. This is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Listen, this is what we do. This is part of the power segment. And speaking of power, because I told you the theme of today is confidence, or sometimes I like to say confidence, and spiritual synergy, which is part of the 2 medallions or the 9 medallions of Kevin Carr's program, Pro to CEO, where he helps professional athletes transition from being an athlete to being their own CEO. Pro2CEO.com. Go check it out. But anyway, speaking of confidence, Fred, how have you managed? Because you start quoting scriptures, you were honest saying that, you didn't always follow, the rules that God said that God laid out, but so did Moses, so did a whole bunch of people, right, in the Bible. But at the end of the day, in this challenging industry of entertainment and being in LA, some people say LA is like, you know, the devil's playhouse. But how have you managed to kind of stay grounded and stay confident and walk by faith, not by sight?
Man, I can't tell you. It's just you know, faith has always been the backbone. My mom, who died almost 9 years ago now, she was the spiritual head of our household at that time, you know, in terms of keeping us in church and understanding the importance of Christ, you know, from a Christian perspective. And again, nothing against Muslims, whatever it is, it's one God. But for me, it's Jesus Christ as far as the head of my household. And I slipped and fell and got up and, you know, and did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. And, you know, but ultimately, God knew what I was going to do before I did it, and knew, you know, what tools I would need to navigate. So out here was buck wild crowds out here in the late 90s, you know, early 2000s, the Magic Johnson era, the this, that, and the third, wild as heck parties and all that stuff. But I always stayed focused. I had my children, thank God, at an early age. So I never went too far left because I knew I had to be there for them. So my older children are now 32, 31, 27. You know, I got a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old as well. But that, I think, other than just the knowledge of Christ, kept me focused, you know what I mean, on, okay, I can't do all that. Like, I might be able to do that, but I can't do that.
Right.
You know, and that's pretty much what it ended up being for me, and just grinding through it and surrounding my father used to always tell me, he said, look here, man, the only argument you ever gonna win with your woman is the one you don't have. And he also said, look, if you surround yourself with 5 successful millionaires, you'll be the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 hustlers, bums, whatever, you're going to be the 6th. So surround yourself with people that are like-minded and have aspirational goals that you want to get to, and you'll be okay.
Yep.
So what I've learned in my life.
You know, Fred, there's so many good things that have happened in your career, I imagine. You know, we keep it real here. Everyone experiences setbacks. Could you share how you tap into your relationship with your faith in order to see or overcome the setback for the comeback?
Yeah, so there's always a comeback. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to preach, but you know, nobody can take from you what God truly has for you. So thing goes away. That's on you. Like, you know what I mean? So when situations happen in my life, there's been some negatives, of course. I mean, deals that didn't go through, or clients that for some reason decided they wanted to do something different after you busted your butt and but I just said, you know what, God, but I'm excited about what you have for me next, and just keep it moving. And I'm not gonna say I didn't sue some people for royalties and stuff that they owed me, and did that process just from a worldly perspective. But, you know, I'm just prepared for the fact that if God allows something to be taken from me or to go elsewhere, then that means what's next is better. And I've just always rocked with that, even in the, you know, the female world. Like, I was dating somebody before I met my wife, and I thought it was everything. You know, I had to cut her off because whatever, you know, that stuff. And I couldn't understand. I was like, but I realized now that God had to cut that limb off so that I could meet my wife. And I went through that pain of losing that wife, that girlfriend, that client, that deal. Then what I ended up with that was a blessing, I would have never been available to it. So that's kind of just the way I look at things, man. And, you know, I'm not saying let people take stuff from you or you know, steal your intellectual property or anything like that. You know, protect yourself. You know, don't cast your pearls to swine. But at some point in time, you just got to trust God and just have faith that what he has for you is better than what you have on your own.
In this day, too, and I'll add a little piece to this, love to get your wisdom on this. You know, people are struggling with mental health when they have setbacks, so much so that is almost, you know, to some degree crippling. What can you, like, when someone's not in, you know, a sense of faith, but they're feeling their mental health struggle, have you had any or thoughts of being able to help anybody in that space? And, you know, when we're seeing more and more people say that, I believe my mental health is very important to me, so I'm going to back away. Or, some people say, hey, resiliency and getting mentally stronger could be also a method. What do you think about that? Because we're hearing so much about it. I'd love to get your perspective on that, because it's very helpful
Good
for
question.
our audience.
So mental health is a very new subject for Black people in general. Because we just deal and endure. If we can go through 400 years of all that happened to us as a people, then we only focus on mental health or physical health. We go to the doctor months after a white person or another person would go to the doctor for the same thing. So it's the same thing mentally. We just compartmentalize the pain and deal with it until it implodes or explodes internally, and it's too late. Like, there's been several of my friends, a couple of my friends that lost their lives, and from Shake, God bless Shakir Stewart, and baby Chris, that was my guy. And I applaud Shanti Das and Blue and all of the people, and even Charlemagne with his crazy self, literally, and making it okay to have issues, and it's okay to ask for help. And a lot of brothers and sisters, but especially Black men, are suffering in silence because you lose your masculinity if you tell Joe, look, man, hey, man, I'm really hurting about that, man. That really messed me up, man. I'm feeling this way or that way. We don't have that openness and that ability. We don't feel a safe space. So I applaud those people for making it closer to a safe space, because you're right, man. When that stuff happens, how do you deal with it? I don't know. I'm blessed to not have to deal with it as of yet, and I pray that I never will. But you can't even put yourself in that person's shoes. You know what I mean? Things go wrong and they panic. Where does that come from? It comes from, historic situations that may have happened, from our lives and our childhoods, and, what we saw happen with our mothers and fathers, and the desensitization of men to Black men to their families because of the way the government was structured. So now, we can go for a whole tangent. That's a whole nother show. But whoever's listening to this, if you're having any thoughts of harming yourself or any feeling some kind of way, get somebody to talk to. Sometimes communication is the one thing that we don't do that could solve or at least put a Band-Aid on the problem. Don't try to deal with it by yourself.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm happy you mentioned Shanti Das, and Shanti Das's organization is called Silence the Shame. So go check out silencetheshame.com. A lot of resources on how to deal with mental health, how to deal with disappointments and things of that nature. So big shout out to Shanti, because she's doing a damn thing in regards to that. But yeah, man, I mean, I think, in regards to, especially when we talk about, power and setbacks and dealing with the mental health aspect of it, because in this music game, what's funny is a lot of people put on that facade that everything is always okay.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything is, what I'm saying? You see me driving my nice little car. You see me in the nice house, beautiful spouse, whatever case may be, and everything appears to be perfect. However, there's a lot of pressure that goes into this business. And you know what? Let's touch on that, because you know what? You can exude as much confidence as possible, but at the same time, there is a lot of pressure. Can you share with the audience what it's like, especially from the inside perspective, as a person who's an executive entrepreneur in this industry, the type of pressure that people deal with? Because you mentioned, baby Chris is definitely near and dear to myself as well. I didn't know Shake in Atlanta. Shakur Stewart is the one that founded Jeezy and a lot of your Southern rappers down there. But can you touch on the amount of pressure that folks in the industry do face, but they hide it really well?
I don't even know that the hiding of it is intentional. I think it's situational and circumstantial, right? It's just what we do. Like, so Chris taking these deals on and having so many people eating from him and taking care of the artist. Like that pressure is amazing. I could not, as good of a manager and businessman as I know I am, I'm not built to do what Chris was able to do. And even when he partnered with my little brother Blue, right before he passed, and with Family Tree and Violator and all that, like, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot. When you take on management, you're managing that person's career, but you're managing their life. So you're dealing with whatever drama they're dealing with. They got street drama. Chris was a light-skinned thug. Like, he wasn't no at all. Like, him and Christopher Williams and Alan Payne was light-skinned dudes that would knock somebody out, right?
Out.
but they that's a lot, man. And I think it just got to be too much. And then sometimes, from a negative perspective, when your cup runneth over, it runs over and it damages you, and you don't know how to handle it. And, when you're trying to take care of your wife and your kids, and you lose perspective on what's the most important thing. So thank God I've never really been in that situation where I've had to deal with enormous pressure. Like, even when I managed MC Light for 14 years and went through all the ups and downs, all the tabloid, all the different stuff, and had to juggle that, because not only was I manager and we were eating together, but that's my client, that's my friend. So your life becomes my life. Your troubles become my troubles. Your blessings become my blessings. And it can just be overwhelming. So I tell everyone, please, be cognizant of all of that. All money's not good money. Don't get out there and stretch yourself too thin and be doing too much. And then what do? You know what I mean? So I can't really speak to exactly what you asked, but that's just my a statement to that. Like, it's just, the pressure it can kill you, and has.
No, that's a very good point, and thank you for really sharing that insight from an insider perspective in regards to that. So once again, we got to go to the commercial break. We're gonna go to our last segment, the respect segment. Once again, this is Power Moves featuring our special guest, Mr. Fred Crawford Jr., the myth, the legend, the man. You know what I'm saying? With my partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Carr, Pro the CEO. We're gonna see you after the break, after we pay some bills. Only on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star. See you after the break.
Oh, Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the leg work for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida, grab a pen of sundown. 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky, the legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
All right, we back.
This is something I really want to kind of bring people in, because you've worked with some legends. It's really amazing that some people, would say that you work with the creme de la creme in R&B and R&B and hip hop. So I'm gonna throw one at you. And working with the God Raekwon, what principles? And when I say Raekwon, like your reaction there, you kind of would chill with it. But what principles did you learn that have given you a level of respect, another level of respect for him and yourself in dealing with people?
So again, I love you guys' show. I think you guys are so, you're so dynamic. I think I just know Raekwon. Like I've never worked with him directly. I don't know. Maybe somebody might have said that, but I know the whole Wu-Tang. When I got started with Ziggy, we were on tour with Wu-Tang for a while and whatnot. So I just know I applaud his work. He's absolutely amazing as a producer and a creator. But I never really worked with Raekwon. But as far as just the respect part of it, though, I feel like I'm very well respected with the legends of hip hop. Everybody from Dougie to Kane to Light to Rick to all of them are part of our inner circle. No, we don't claim to manage them all, but we all work to continue the brand moving forward. Because why don't the legends of hip hop work like Guns N' Roses or all these old rock and roll cats? They going on stadium tours and we struggling to do clubs. Like that's not. There's something there in the dynamic of the power structure of the record labels and the respect that we have for our own people. So the Legends of Hip Hop tour should be something that goes on every year, all year. You know what I mean? So that, but Raekwon
that's a great point. So let me ask you this. There's a saying that, I learned in business that if everybody kind of operated with the Rolling Stones mentality versus the Beatles, people would be in business. So the Rolling Stones never worried about who was out front because they knew who was out front. The rest of the cats in that band knew their lane and they stayed in that lane. And so far, they're still in business. Now, the Beatles, that they had this, I want to be this person, I want to be that. And then eventually, obviously, they all broke apart and are no longer consistently ever together. So what do you think is the challenge? Is it the people? Is it the business? Is it our culture that's not creating the momentum for us to have the stick-to-itiveness or the stickiness to stay around for a long time and do well?
Well, that's a loaded question. So when you look, fortunately, I don't claim him to be my friend, but I know Mick Jagger pretty well. Gene Simmons, God bless, from Kiss. Those groups, they don't even like each other, but they figure out the business, right? We're going to get out here, we're going to perform. You'll never see Mick Jagger on a plane with the other cat. Like, they just don't rock with it, different hotels, but they figure it out to make it work as a unit, right? And the same thing with the other cultures. The Asian, different diaspora of the Asian cultures and stuff. Like, they're going to do what they got to do to win, right? We tend to have, as a people, and it's been given to us through the whole slave mentality, to the whole, overseer mentality, all those different components that have become part of who we as African Americans have become over the past 450 some odd years, is coming out in business. Like, so we ain't used to having no money, so I ain't gonna do nothing with you. I'm gonna hold on to my money. Like, I don't rock with you, so I'm not gonna go out on tour with you. And it happens in our groups as well. Several, R&B groups break up, and what y'all breaking up for? Y'all ain't superstars. Y'all only superstar if y'all together. If y'all not together, it is what it is, right? So we just have a different mentality that's been forced upon us by the powers that be. But just like it was forced upon us, we can break that cycle. And we need to start, if we love ourselves, then we can love others. A lot of times we don't love ourselves. That's why we can kill each other. That's why we can damage each other's reputation, because we don't love ourselves. So it's a deeper cycle. I think it's a generational curse for sure. Because, there's no reason why, all of these R&B and hip hop acts from the 70s, 80s, and 90s that are still alive are not working consistently. Because the fan base is us. We have the most disposable income of our entire people. The people between 35 and 70. We got the most money. We would go to a concert, a Legends of Hip Hop concert, like that. And buy an album that was never even promoted on the radio. Me and Charlie Mack, that's my man, we was gonna put together a whole Legends of Hip Hop, record label and put out albums, full CDs on artists. Y'all would never even have to hear it first. You would buy it just because it was an MC Lyte album, new MC Lyte album, new Big Daddy Kane album, new Rakim album. Boom. And we would support ourselves. We just don't have that drive to support ourselves and our own. It's like we're almost always looking for somebody to give us something, and then in reciprocation, looking for it. Well, they gotta approve it. No, we can do it ourselves, and we need to support ourselves.
I'm happy you said that, because that is a level of respect. Great question, Kevin, because if you don't love yourself, then you can't, that means you don't respect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, how can you respect others? You know, with that being said, part of the issue that I find, and this is the constant conversation, so I definitely want you to kind of share this on the air, is, we make fun of mumble rap. I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it as well. However, I do know that it is also my fault that this has happened, right? Because I'm the one that's helping create the videos of the big papas, of showing the big houses and the cars and the luxury and the women and all this other stuff with the MTV era and BET, right? And then we never put these young folks to the side and say, son or daughter, you still got to have morals. You still got to respect your elders, and we could do something with you. In regards to that, in your opinion, especially with you working with the legends of hip hop, but then also, you also worked with other artists in between that. What do you say to that in terms of respect with these younger folks? Because you're the OG, and when you went from doing hip hop to working with Brian McKnight, those R&B executives were always looking at us as, oh, you hip hop folks are not going to last. Am I right or right?
Completely right.
But yet they eventually took us in. So what do we need to do to help the little club?
So, I talked to cats like, I don't know if you noticed the other day, Kane, who has an interesting social media presence, put out that, look, he wants to help these young cats. If you got dope beats, if you're an artist, whatever, and you're serious about it, he wants to use his platform to help, spearhead their career, get their career started or whatever. And that's what we got to do more of, that each one teach one. Because again, the OG, just like, I'm not trying to make this a drug show either, but just like in the streets, we all grew up in the streets on one level or another. The OG's pulling them young dudes, hey man, look, man, you don't got to do it this way. Don't do it. I did this. I made this mistake. You don't do this. Do it this way, and you win across the board, and everybody wins. But if you do it this way, you may win, but you're going to end up dead or in jail or this. Those are the conversations that have to happen in our homes and in our neighborhoods. And with these young cats, like, don't hate on mumble rap. Explain to them how important context is. Uh-oh. Hello? Did I
we here. We see you.
Explain how important context of creativity is. Explain to them how important it is to make sure that you're aware of what you're saying and how it affects negatively or positively someone else. Like, don't just say it just because it's something to say. What are you really saying? Like, these are lessons that have to be taught by us. And I'm not a creator, so it's not really me, but it's everybody pull these kids to the side, man. Don't do it this way. You know what I mean? And see how many you can save.
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts.
Yeah, that's excellent. And there should always be a succession plan, as a businessman. Like, if you start something, you really believe in it. And I see you already doing it with your kids. With that being said, we want to give you a chance, Joel, as we always do with our guests, give them a chance to allow our audience and people who want to get to know you more. We want to consume you. We want to support you. We want to uplift you. Can you give us how we follow you, how we support you, how we buy whatever you have and support the work that you're doing? And give us your handles, your social media, YouTube channel, whatever you want. This is your time for the last time, few minutes we got left.
Well, we're gonna share that few minutes, because I ain't got much of that. I'm OG for real. Like, my kids be texting me from upstairs. I tell them to call me. I'm like, I don't do that. Like, I'm not really heavy in that space. I don't really need a social media presence. I mean, I'm at Big Fred Crawford is my social media, my Instagram and my Twitter. But other than that, man, I'm just out here grinding. I'm behind the scenes. The way you can help me or support me is by supporting somebody else, helping somebody else in your community, helping another kid, somebody's up and coming. Whatever you can do to bless somebody else, do that. That supports me indirectly, and then supports us as a people, because we have to start doing that. So I don't really I'm not selling anything. I'm working on all kind of deals, this NFT deal with Akon, and I'm doing some different things, but I don't need support. I just need us to love ourselves and love others and treat people the way you want to be treated. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's real talk.
Hey, that's like I said, you know what I'm saying? You are a man of God. So that's how you operate and you make things happen. And we appreciate the time that you spent with us. Once again, Big Fred Crawford. Check out Creative Music Management. Did I get that right?
No, so the website is just www.creativemusicmgt.com.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if anybody needs anything, they can drop me a note there or whatever, or they can hit me on Instagram, the little DMs. I'm open to helping whomever. But I would applaud you guys again for doing what you do. I think is a real need for it. Hopefully it grows and leaps and bounds and becomes the best whatever. But, you know, God's will be done in that regard. I applaud you both. And my man, UCF, I love that. Let's keep it moving. And I see behind you there, Captain Fly. Let's do a segment on African-American history in New York City with Seneca Village sitting behind you. And let's talk about stuff like that. Let's get some people on to really talk about and expose the truth of that we want to know why our kids are crazy. Well, look at what we had to go through. Look at what our relatives went through. Look at how, you know, you talk about Oklahoma right there in Central Harlem.
In Seneca Village, and that's the cemetery right behind us. That's why I have it behind me.
It was a thriving community.
Yes.
You know, but
yeah, no, we you know what, we can have a part 2 segment to discuss just only that alone, because to your point, you know, that was Tulsa before Tulsa.
If you don't know your history, you may have to repeat it.
That's right. Once again, this is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you next week.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Crawford.
you, Big Fred in the place to be. We out.
Appreciate you.
Bad boy. Come on.
Record.